And if you really begin to look at where you put your resources, it's really the areas that you need to really begin to improve so that you don't continue to have the crime, so that you don't continue to have the type of fire problems or police service problems. If you begin to put monies into those areas, you'll begin to see a return on your investment. Unfortunately, within these areas, we've never really looked at it in those ways. If you look at San Jose, at one time, East San Jose was not paved. It didn't have streetlights. It didn't have sidewalks. Yeah, it was a very bad area. But the city of San Jose and the county of Santa Clara just made a conscious decision to begin to improve that area. So if you go into the Alum Rock areas and those areas of East San Jose, you begin to see that they've made huge improvements in those areas. Whereas if you go to South Modesto, West Modesto, it's like a third world country. If you really look at it, 50% of our septic tanks right now are failing.
Well, let me ask a very pointed question. Like I was saying a minute ago, we take it for granted, you know, when I go back to the Bay Area, that our life is what it is today, but we don't realize, people who are 40, 30, 20 years old, they don't realize what has been done in the last 5 decades. And like here, what you're trying to do now is a lot of work. Do you think that those impoverished areas in West Modesto are because they are of a different ethnic group?
Yes, that's the only conclusion I come to. And not only that, it's also what you would call it's in terms of the 1% versus the 99%, as they would say.
Yeah, I say different. I shouldn't say different because
socioeconomic. It's really socioeconomic.
The Latino community is almost 42% in Stanislaus County. Yeah. So why is it that they are kind of becoming the unwanted child almost? Well,
you have to realize, because of mechanization of the agricultural industry, a lot of individuals during the 60s and 70s were thrown out of work and in the whole area of mechanization. Whereas it used to take 1,000 people to do work in the field, now it takes 50 because of the machines and everything else. And so what you began to create was really an underclass, a perpetual type of group that just was not advancing because of the educational barriers, because of economic barriers. And again, you know, it's the whole idea of, you know, as Martin Luther King said, you know, everybody talks about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, but the problem is that a lot of us don't even have boots to pull up. We have to begin to look at it in terms of really putting resources into those areas. And in the past, they haven't. I have a paper from ProPublica that is published that we received $369 in federal monies.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Federal tax dollars in relative comparison to the rest of the state of California that receives $1,380. We receive for services $1,000 less in federal funds. You know, everybody talks about us not feeding at the federal trough or whatever, but unfortunately, within Stanislaus County, we're not even getting our fair share of the tax dollars that we pay into. And so again, you know, if you look at Merced County and Stanislaus County, we're the same size, if not larger, than San Francisco. Yet San Francisco gets pretty close to $2,500 annually per person for their infrastructure costs, and we don't. So again, for whatever reason, our elected officials and our staffing of the different county and city agencies haven't really looked at it in terms of really trying to bring monies into this area from the federal government. They've always said, well, you know, we don't need it.
Well, my next guest coming up is John Gunderson from Modesto City Council, yes. So I plan on asking him, can I keep this
yes,
here?
Yes, okay. You can. That's why I brought it.
Great, I'll put him on the spot. Now,
well, he just barely got elected. hopefully you won't put him that much. He's some of those people that have been around for a while.
I've got like 2 or 3 things we're going to be talking to him about tonight, so he better prepare. You have something here, and also we just have a couple more minutes.